Private practice just isn't very appealing to me. First and foremost, the issues with healthcare where you have to deal with high patient volumes, difficult patients, difficult insurance companies. Those things are still there in private practice. You have more control in how you deal with it, but the problems are still there. And a lot of private practice pediatricians that I know will still see high patient volumes to keep their practices afloat and make income because, not only do they have to get their paycheck, they have to sustain their rent, sustain their office space, pay the salaries and benefits of whoever their staff is. So I don't know if they generate that much more money in their pocket at the end of the day, but they take on the stress of owning a business, having to run it, and there's always a risk of that business failing. The other issue is when you're a single, startup private practice, you have basically no leverage or power with insurance companies, and they can reimburse you peanuts and you can't fight them on it. So that can be really tough as well. So those are a few reasons, and personally, I've just decided I'm so tired and burned out with medicine. If for any reason I were to stop practicing as an employed physician, I'd probably just go non-clinical, go into teaching, medical writing, something. Cash-based practice does seem appealing. That's a new thing where, because insurance is, really bad with reimbursement and it doesn't give good pay to doctors, it doesn't give enough to run their practices. A lot of primary doctors and pediatricians are going fully cash-based. And I saw an article recently that pediatricians who are cash-based and don't take insurance are much happier. And it's not unreasonable for patients. I think it's like $50 to $150 a month, which if you factor in how much insurance often charges people or doesn't pay out to them when they need to, I don't think it's crazy. And you get longer appointments, you get better quality care, more money in the doctor's pocket, which goes directly back into the practice, into the patient's care. I think it's a win-win for everyone, and that's probably the future of pediatrics. But the one holdup I have with that is, there's not a lot of systems for cash-based practices. If I have to refer a patient, they'll still need insurance for the specialist they see. If I send a patient to the hospital, they'll still need insurance. And, things like vaccines are very hard to, keep and store. I think doctors lose money on vaccines. They don't actually make money off of them. So that might be a little bit harder to coordinate and do when you're a cash-based practice. So there's a lot of limitations in that. And I do feel there's a certain obligation to give in to patients more in a cash-based practice because they're paying cash. If they make a demand that isn't reasonable or maybe unsafe for them, you might not be able to easily say no. So those are reasons why the cash-based approach isn't that appealing to me either. Realistically, because of the reasons I mentioned, private practices are kind of dying out. They're not being able to sustain themselves. It's harder than ever before to start your own practice, and it's just not financially rewarding a lot of the times, especially with the stress and things going on right now.